Yo, what is going on, guys? Flashverse here, and welcome back to another video on The Flash Season 6, and this will be my review for The Flash Season 6, Episode 14, otherwise titled The Death of the Speedforce. But before I do the review, you guys don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you are aware of more Arrowverse content coming your way. And also, spoiler alert for those who haven't watched the episode, you have been warned. So this episode kicks off with these two Russian people in a helicopter. So this helicopter starts rusting really badly, which results the helicopter to malfunction and then resulting into a crash. Now Camilla and Caitlin think that it's Barry who went to save the day when it was actually our good old friend Wally West, aka Kid Flash, who saves the day and makes an awesome entrance, especially with his new abilities, like him replicating himself, and then we see him make a lotus flower later on, but I'll get to that later. And then we have Barry come in afterwards, and he's like, you always know how to make an entrance, Kid Flash. And then they do their fist bumps and stuff, and that then results to the lotus flower in Star Labs. So basically we know that Wally can do these stuffs as he's now more connected to the Speed Force than ever. We then have Wally's welcome home party, but we shift to the mirror. So Eva starts panicking due to her being trapped over there for 2,100 plus days. But while that whole mirror thing's happening, when she's 2,100 days, 2,100, she starts freaking out. But the mirror Iris ends up doing the same thing as Eva, which results her to act really weird, and she accidentally spills that entire glass of a drink. I don't know what it is, but it's a drink. And Camilla comes up, she's like, hey, what's up, what's happening with you? So that's what Eva does. Now we had as I said, the welcome home party, but then Cisco ends up coming back from his crisis adventure, and then we find out that he came from Atlantis, which was a cool Aquaman reference. And then we also had a Black Adam reference, if you want to say, as they did mention Egyptian tombs. And he thinks that he was Cisco thought that he was the one getting the welcome home party. He's like, oh, thank you guys. And then when Wally ends up arriving and hugging Cisco, is like, welcome home. And then he finds out that the welcome home party was for Wally and not for him, which I thought was a pretty funny scene. Now Barry's Speed Force started glitching out, which leads to a scene between him and Wally, and where Wally actually reveals why he's here, and he says that I'm not here to see. I didn't come here just to see family, because lately I've been sensing there's something wrong with the Speed Force, and Barry reveals that the Speed Force has been glitching with him for a while now, and we get that flashback of episode 10 where he's in Lian in the cell with Diggle, and his hand just out of nowhere starts electrifying. But we find out that due to what Barry has done, Wally can't interact with the Speed Force for a while due to those crisis and blood work thing. At this point, Barry doesn't know what the reason behind this is. But we get the scene with fake Iris and Wally where she reveals about what happened with blood work. And we then had Camilla take a photo of Iris and Wally together, and she's like, oh, look at those cute siblings. And Iris got really pissed and then told Camilla to delete it. She's like, no, you need to delete that photo right now. And then Camilla's questioning, she's like, why? It's just a photo. But then Iris is like, you need to delete that right now, because it's some it will mess with some black hole business, as she covered up by saying. But we know that's not the case, as we find out towards the end of the episode. Now Turtle 2.0 is the villain for this episode, and she ages this woman from her powers. She ages that woman that Wally saved in the beginning of the episode. We then had Wally go to CCPD into Barry's office, and then he confronts him. He's like, what happened with you in the Speed Force? And then Barry reveals that whatever has happened because he's attacked the Speed Force when Ramsey was trying to take control of him. Now obviously we know that isn't the case, but this is what Barry thinks so far. And then he's and then Wally and Barry keep talking about the Speed Force, and Barry starts panicking. He starts talking and stuff, and then Wally's like trying to calm him down and stuff, and then we find out that they've actually ended up in the Speed Force. Now when they're in the Speed Force, you see like it's like really weird. It's like we see like lightning striking everywhere, and like the area is green, which I thought was cool. And then they go to the Speed Force in the form of Barry's mother, and then they say what's happened, and then the Speed Force says, the Speed Force is dying, Barry Allen, because of what you've done. Now Wally gets pissed because of that, and then they end up back into CCPD. But then Wally, he gets pissed. He's like, you could have like come to me and I could have helped you, but instead you do what you do best, and like you try to do it yourself, and then this is what happens. So Wally's pretty much blaming Barry. And Wally also mentions that he had a vision of like the Flash family as well, which I thought was really, really cool. Now we then had like Barry use tachyons, and like he uses Gideon as well to help boost his Speed Force energy to allow him to tap into the Speed Force, so he could like find out how he could like save the Speed Force from dying. Like we know like the Speed Force is like an infinite source of energy, so like the fact that it's dying, well, like it means that like something like really, really went wrong, and it's like beyond repair, as what Wally has said as well. Now this is when Barry finds out that a substance has entered the Speed Force, which the Speed Force tried to contaminate it, but that substance that has entered is killing the Speed Force. Now Barry finds out that this was due to Barry asking Oliver for a Speed Force boost during Crisis. So whatever is happening to the Speed Force is pretty much because of what the Spectre has done when he's unlocked Barry's potential. So the Speed Force dies in Barry's hands in the form of his mother, which I thought was pretty sad. Now, how many times has this happened? I do not know. Like, it happened when Barry was a child, and it happened in the season 1 finale, and then it happened again in Flashpoint, and then it happened again in episode 7 of this season, as he technically attacks his own mother. So it's happened a lot, and basically the Speed Force in the form of Barry's mother died in front of Barry again, which I thought was pretty sad. Now, this then leads to like Wally and Barry like now having like a limit on how long they could use their speed for, until the Speed Force is like gone, like they cannot use it anymore, which we find out is only a couple of weeks left until they're powerless. So we then had an amazing scene, and like it is amazing because like Joe never has like trash scenes. It's always good when you have Joe in a scene, and he has this scene with Wally, and like he's like, oh, I didn't know, like I don't know how you must be feeling, because like you're losing something that's been like a part of you for so long. And then after that we had an amazing scene between Barry and Wally, and now Wally apologizes to Barry and how he understands why Barry did what he did to save the universe. But then we cut to Nash, and then Nash gets attacked by an Eobard Thawne ghost, and we actually find out that Thawne took over Nash's body, but he doesn't have his powers. So like he's Eobard, so like Nash is now Eobard Thawne. No, sorry, Thawne is now Nash, but doesn't have his powers due to Nash's body not having the Speed Force in him, or this is what I think at least. We had like Cisco getting attacked by this Eobard Thawne as well, but obviously he was powerless, so like he was able to like fight against him pretty well. But then Cecile uses her taser and knocks out Eobard Thawne. We then had the Turtle invade the CCPD, when we then had Barry and Wally save the day, which was a great scene. Well, not technically Wally, because like he's been trapped in like in the Turtles' blasts, but Barry and Joe did end up saving the day. Now this scene was great. Towards the end of the episode, Wally actually notices that something is off about Iris, and he reveals it to Joe, so he's pretty much warning him about her. Now, why did I like this so much? Wally is like the person who knows Iris the least out of everyone in Team Flash. Everyone. And he's the one that notices that there's a problem with his sister. Like Joe, he's Joe is Iris's father, and he doesn't notice anything at all. Barry is Iris's husband, and he doesn't notice anything at all. But Wally knows Iris the least, and he's like, there's something wrong with Iris. Like, how? I don't get this. But then, yeah, so Joe has pretty much been warned. Now I am very interested to see what this relationship drama will lead into after Iris gets out of that mirror. She's probably gonna go like all mad, saying that, how didn't you notice that this wasn't me? Things like that. So now I think that it will be Joe who will find out that this is fake Iris at this point. But then we had an amazing scene, and it never sucks when you have these two on screen together. And we had Thawne and Barry talk to each other, and then like Thawne threatens to like kill everyone Barry loves, and I just love the way like Barry just looks at Thawne, like he looks at him with like pure hatred, and it's just like so cool. It like takes it to a whole new level. But Thawne is like, oh, you won't be able to stop me, because now I know that the Speed Force is leaving you. Like you're going to be powerless in a couple of weeks, which is why I created my own. And we know that's the case, as Thawne created the negative Speed Force. Now, towards the end of the episode, Barry gets this idea of creating his own artificial Speed Force. So he's like, oh yeah, like Thawne created his own Speed Force, so can I. So now he's going to ask Team Flash for help about this. And I have also seen the trailer for episode 15, so they are working on this new Speed Force, and I will do my trailer breakdown on that like a couple of hours after I upload this video. But the cliffhanger was where Camilla goes to the Central City. Well, she is in the Central City citizen, and she's packing up, but in her camera it says failed to delete, and then she like filters the picture or something, and then we find out that she finds out that this is fake Iris, like it's a mirror version of Iris. And then fake Iris ends up coming behind her, and she shoots the mirror gun at Camilla. So now Camilla is sucked into the mirror world as well. So now, would this mean that Eva will be able to turn into Camilla as well? I do not know. Overall, I really like this episode. It's definitely one of my favorite episodes for this season. I'm going to give this like a 9.5 out of 10, with my highlight character being Wally West. Oh my god, I just missed that guy coming back, and especially that Thawne scene as well. I know that has nothing to do with Wally, but that Thawne scene with Barry just took it to a whole new level. But yeah, this is pretty much it for this video, guys. So if you guys have enjoyed the video, please give a like and subscribe. Tell me in the comment section down below what you guys thought of this episode, and I will see you guys in my next video.